Hello, my dear audiences. Welcome to the show. Jack Chow is my name. East West is the show. All right, now, speaking of East West, though, we really cover everything within range. So when you talk about subjects or stuff or issues in range, though, you're talking about politics, especially local politics. So, and once again, it's election. Once again, it's a year of election, and everybody gets busy to see if they can. So they can show up as a good one, as a good face, in a good face, to to be a quote unquote servant. I did not create the term servant myself. This is the term used by my guest, Mr. Joe Gardner, a candidate for West Covina City Council. By the way, welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir. And hello to
And
your
today,
viewers.
joining me, oh yeah, did you allow me to borrow your term servant?
Oh, yes.
Oh, very
of
good.
course.
That's a big term. That's a very big term. I'll later, take my take with you about my understanding of the word servant. Okay. Next to him is a big boss of his and a big helper to his campaign. His lovely wife, Debbie Gardner.
Hello.
Welcome, Debbie, to the
Thank
show.
you.
Good. And thank you for being a supporter, and thank you for coming here. Good.
You're welcome.
As you can see, the title of the show today is that why do I run? Well, it sounds a very simple question, but if you go deeper into it, though, you will find lots of reasons why you run, right? And there are people who take that as a position, as a glamour, as a privilege, or as a leader, or whatever you name it, right? There are ways, other ways to call it in different ways, but to call it as a servant, well, that's really quite a different take. So I would like you to take the start by sharing your quote of servant.
Yes.
Please.
You know, and I think the idea of servitude has been lost in the last several years. You know, the concept of someone who is a politician, perhaps getting elected to an office and then getting up in office and not really losing sight of the idea of servitude and the idea of working in the interest of his constituents. I think that's lost.
Yeah.
You know, it's not. It seems to me that maybe the idea of servitude is a rarity now in the minds of some politicians, and where it should really be at the forefront, right?
Yeah, you're right. And of course, with that laid out as a foundation, there's a lot to talk about because being a servant, you have lots of qualifications, right? To qualify as a servant, in your dictionary, though, what you have to have, please.
Well, I think I always look back to what Thomas Jefferson said, that if you have the talent and ability to want to serve your community, you step forward and you become a volunteer, as it were, and to work as a representative for your community. And then when you're done, when that role is filled, then you go back to your job as you were doing, whether that be a farmer
Yeah,
or
all right, good.
you know, somebody who manages their household. You know, I think those are words that I always, the philosophy is always something I admire.
All right. Another word, I serve for the purpose of serving. When my job of serving is done, I go back to where I was, right?
Right.
So I am,
Right.
right? You don't want to use it as a ladder or something to go elsewhere with hidden purpose, right?
Right.
Okay. So what's your take about your husband running for the purpose of only to be a servant?
Well, he's always been like that. Even in his former, in his career, you know, it was about serving. It was never about advancing. It was about putting the time he needed to do and protecting those that he had to protect. And then he would come home and he would take care of the household. It would, like I say, it was never for him to just promote. That wasn't his heart. And which I'm grateful for, and that's just, he's very genuine that way.
I see.
You know, we've been in West Covina for a very long time, and and we look around and we see, how the city is not what it used to be, and it needs help.
Exactly,
It needs
right.
help. So rather than sitting back, like we always talk and say,
Yeah, let's enjoy life.
this
Let's
needs
sit
to
back a little bit,
change.
yeah.
It's like, okay, well then let's do something about it.
Let's do something.
Let's get
instead.
involved.
Do something instead, right?
Get involved.
Yeah, let's get him involved.
Yeah.
Very good take. I want to make it clear to my audience is that between him and I, there's not even a penny related, right? So we're totally clean. So I never took anything from him, and he doesn't have to, right? Oh, by the way, not to be precise, I just had a candy from you,
Right.
and to be precise, the seed candy.
Yeah.
But I took only one piece, right?
Right.
I took only one piece. That's the only, in the materialistic world, though, we're talking about there's only material relationship between him and I, one piece of seed candy, that's it. However, you can see how much I, as a show host, tries to get him involved in the campaign or in his campaign is that exactly from the liking of his style. I like his low-key style. Low-key style meaning that you mean what you say or you don't say, right?
Correct.
And instead of talking, you get hands-on and you try to master those grassroots issues to get job done rather than just to get vocal. Of course, getting vocal is quite necessary sometimes, but not the only job. That's 50% of the job. The other 50 is hands-on, right? So I like him for the fact that he stays low-key, he's very grassrooted, and he makes some bottom-line issues. One of them is public safety and the security of the community that we will later on turn into, though. Now we are just sticking ourselves to the conceptual area to find out, right? Talking about a city council member, the first thing as qualification to me, that sounds to me though, is you got to be a responsible person, a responsible man, responsible woman, a responsible human being. That's it, right? As a wife though, how many years have you been married to him, please?
We've been married 30.
You have to consult your calendar to find out, to go back.
Well, what's happening, we're getting forgetful nowadays.
Oh, come on, all right, good.
We've been married over 30 years.
Over 30 years, all right. That's a quite long time of marriage, though. And enough time for you to understand what kind of man you luckily or unluckily married to, right?
Correct, correct.
So, speaking of responsibility, though, let's see how responsible he is, right? So, from your eye, though, how do you judge about his being responsible part?
He's always been a very responsible person. He's never failed at the family in any way, shape, or form. He's always put us first.
Us meaning how many kids?
We have 3 kids total.
All right, good, very good.
And always been he goes out of his way. It's not just our immediate family, but it also goes as far as mostly my extended family, my grandmom, my mom, brothers and sisters. So he's always been there for everybody, and is very much loved by all my family, So.
Does he forget your birthday?
Never.
Does he forget anniversaries?
No.
Do you?
I do sometimes.
Yes, you see, well, yeah, I see. Well, you know what? There is one way. And the other day I was on a show talking to a friend of mine. If you judge a man, if he is responsible or not, check with him if he forgets his wife's birthday. Sounds kind of naive, but the naivety sometimes works. Right?
Yeah.
He never does. And how about the kid's birthday?
Sometimes we forget. We both forget. Not just him, but we both forget.
Okay,
but we're just so caught up because we have the grandkids now, and the grandkids just really consume you. So a lot of times we're just getting somewhat forgetful. But for the most part, when we remember, we'll make up for it. So
I know you're better off now because he retires from his position of being police officer at Santa Monica PD, though. Back those days when he was on the street, whatever, with a pistol in hand or with him anyway. So lots of worry about him, right?
Well, Jack, for me, yeah, it was a lot of worrying, but I think had I not been a woman of faith, I probably would have been in some kind of a asylum, you know, just with the worry.
You would have fled somewhere.
Right, but I, you know, pretty much every day I had to just put him in God's hands to watch over him, you know, and I think that's what kept me pretty much sane and focused.
Those are years with trepidation, all right, and we're talking about 27 of those years. Am I right with the numbers? Sometimes I'm very bad with math, with numbers. So 27 is a number, right?
Correct, yeah.
27 years for a woman to stick to a responsible guy who puts himself, however, in the line of the business of being a police officer. The reason I do that, the reason I mentioned this part in the first segment is really from my wake up of yesterday's show. Yesterday I had a show with a good friend of mine. He's also a active law enforcement officer, Mr. Mejia of LA County Sheriff, and also he chairs the National Latino Peace Officer Association as a president. And he had his wife and the 2 daughters on the show, talking about the moment, talking about every single day they pray, Daddy, please come home safe. The wife, the same thing, please come home, whole peace, right? Yes. Like that. They'll tells me about the nature of the business, nature of doing the job, right? I'm not saying that I'm not trying to martyr yourself, right? I'm just saying that it is hard to be on that job, on that position, to accomplish 27 years with the glory to come to where you are. That is the part that I give you 2 thumbs up. And from a wife's point of view, though, there's lots of worry. However, she says, put in God's hands. Right. So, once again, also we want to put the election in God's hands, because I'm a Christian too myself. Always. Let's pray together, do that. For the sake of the community, we do need somebody who is subtle, right? Who is not a slogan type. Wow, 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 wow. The chatterbox type, right? Who does the job with hands-on. My dear audience, today joining me is the candidate of West Covina City Council candidate, Mr. Joe Gardner, and his lovely wife, Debbie. So we'll see you in a while.